It's time for the top 10 things to do on the French Riviera. We've picked different places you absolutely have to go and see, among which are Nice, Cannes, Saint-Tropez and Monaco.
But we also have some other ideas for you, such as a visit to a Provençal market or a trip to this beautiful little island. But first,
we take you to Nice.
There is no way around this colorful beauty right on the Mediterranean Sea. Take at least a full day to discover the capital of the French Riviera, with its long signature beach made of billions of pebbles, and the bright sea with its different shades of blue. Nice is most famous for its bay called Baie des Anges. The city has changed dramatically over the past 20 years, much to Anja's and my delight. There is still the old town with its narrow alleys and no cars allowed that might look shady and a little shabby here and there, but it's totally safe and has its very own charm. Then there's the area that has gone through a lot of change. The checkered Place Masséna with its majestic dark red buildings, the huge Apollo fountain called Fontaine du Soleil, its Buddha statues, the impressive water mirror fountain with its 128 water diffusers within the enormous park that separates the old from the new town called Promenade du Paillon. You'll find lots of bigger and smaller squares in Nice where you could take a minute in a cafe to enjoy the typical southern French lifestyle. Another very beautiful one is Place Garibaldi. How about a nice lunch or dinner in this setting? To get an overview of the city, you should climb up the castle hill or take the elevator, which is free of charge. From up here, you have the most magnificent view of the bay and of the colorful harbor on the other side of the hill. Nice's promenade, called Promenade des Anglais, stretches all along the bay. It's 5 kilometers long and perfect for a walk, a jog, some cycling, or a little pause on one of the blue chairs. Of course, food is exceptionally good in all of the French Riviera. You can have lunch or dine out for reasonable prices in Nice, even if the restaurant you pick is in the most touristy area. Anja and I have shown you different places to eat in several of our other videos. For art lovers, there are the Mamac Museum of Modern and Contemporary Art, the Chagall Museum, and several others. And don't miss the famous flower market at Coursaléa in the Old Town. Every morning until around 1 p.m., except for Mondays, you'll not only see plants and fragrant bouquets of flowers, but a little further down you can buy all kinds of souvenirs. Actually, if you want something typical to take home, the Old Town is full of little shops that sell French things, from tacky to tasteful.
Now let's head to Monaco.
There's nothing quite like it. Monaco is famous for its high-rises that you might or might not like, but there just isn't much of a choice other than building vertically, since the Principality is the second smallest country in the world. Plan for a day to discover this special place with its breathtaking scenery. We suggest you start at the Prince's Palace, situated on the huge rock called the Rocher. On this rock you'll also find the Old Town, with its small alleys, the cathedral, and the impressive oceanographic museum. Monaco is actually more than 700 years old and was conquered by a disguised monk back in the day, which makes the contrast between the skyscrapers and the historic buildings on the rock all the more fascinating. From the Old Town, you should walk down to the main harbor, called Port Hercule, take in some of the gigantic yachts, and walk back up on the other side to the Casino Square in the neighborhood called Monte Carlo. This is where the famous casino is located, as well as the mundane Hôtel de Paris. and the new luxury shopping site called One Monte Carlo. We suggest you grab a coffee at the Café de Paris and watch the ever-changing fleet of insane cars decoratively parked in front of the hotel or passing by. Did you know Monaco even has a very well-maintained sandy beach? You can enjoy Plage du Larvotto for free, so bring your swimsuit. Next to the beach is the Grimaldi Forum, which hosts high-profile cultural events.
Cannes should definitely be on your list.
Cannes is everything between a village and a mundane cosmopolitan city. It goes from sleepy in the winter all the way to hustling and bustling during the film festival and all of summer. At its core, it's a simple but very pretty place that will enchant you with its sheer beauty, we promise. Head up to the old town called Le Suquet first of all. It's nestled on a hill with buildings dating back way into the Middle Ages. And it offers you this view of the main port all the way to the film festival building with the famous promenade La Croisette stretching behind it. You can also see the two little islands just off of the coast that belong to Cannes and that you've seen at the very beginning of this video and you'll see more of at the end. Cannes is a city you have to feel. There isn't all that much to do apart from enjoying the Mediterranean lifestyle. You'll catch it in one of Cannes' many cafes and restaurants, where you could start your day with a breakfast, have lunch, or enjoy a cocktail later in the day. Of course, you have to take a walk along the promenade and take in the view of the sea and the crowds that flock to this part of the city. Cannes is also perfect for a day on the beach. There are sandy beaches along the entire coast of the city, at the Croisette, but also further to the west and to the east, and you can choose between many private as well as public beaches. Do yourself a favor and at least go for a coffee in one of the newly renovated beach restaurants. Cannes may be small, way smaller than Nice, but it's still great for shopping. Most of the boutiques line up in Rue d'Antibes, where you'll find typical French fashion, the usual suspects of international brands, and lots of places for swimwear. High-end shopping takes place along the Croisette once again, starting just opposite the Festival Palace. And for food shopping, we suggest you check out the covered market called Marché Fortville, not far from the Old Town. Here you can find fresh fruits and vegetables, local fish right from the sea, typical Mediterranean products like olives or herbs of Provence, and lots of street food for a cheap lunch.
You would really miss out on something if you didn't go to Saint-Tropez.
There's one word to best describe this village: cute. The pastel-colored fishermen's houses lining the harbor and beautiful beaches nearby have seduced generations of celebrities. Every summer, Saint-Tropez is still one of the hotspots on the Côte d'Azur for Hollywood stars and paparazzi. So start your trip by strolling around the port, maybe get an overpriced drink in one of the cafes along the quay, and watch the crowds. Then there's the main square called Place des Lys. It's this typical Provençal place. In the fall, Saint-Tropez goes wild twice more, during the impressive sailing weeks called Voile de Saint-Tropez, starting at the end of September, and for the famous sales days called La Grande Braderie at the end of October. If you get the chance, stop by for either of them. And after that, expect to have the village all to yourself until around Easter.
Of course, you should absolutely visit one of those cute little Provençal villages.
Did you know the Côte d'Azur is not only Nice and Cannes and Monaco? but it's dotted with lots of tiny villages, Provençal style, in the hinterland. You can pick almost any of them and get this heartwarming feeling, because they're just so pretty and have that laid-back vibe, far enough away from the busy coastline. Most of them are hilltop villages, dating back to the Middle Ages, and that's definitely part of their stunning beauty. We think Aise Village, Gourdon, Saint-Paul-de-Vence, Roquebrune-Cap-Martin, Sainte-Agnès, Billotte and Mougins are the most impressive ones.
To do a boat trip is real fun and lets you discover the Riviera from a different angle.
Yes, you should definitely sign up for a boat trip. There are tourist boats taking off in almost all of the coastal cities, and tickets aren't even that expensive at all. Once on board, you escape the traffic jams, the noise of the cities dies down right away. You'll be impressed by the coastline with the Alps in the background, and the breeze will refresh you. Check online with the local tourist office or right at the port for the itineraries. A classic would be to go from Nice or Cannes all the way to Saint-Tropez, but there are many more options during the summer season.
There are also a lot of coastal walks waiting here for you.
If you're into beautiful landscapes and wild nature, there's nothing like France's coastal paths. Take in the spectacular scenery at Cap d'Antibes, for example. While you might think of billionaires and fancy estates, this is what you really get. Beautiful limestone cliffs and deep coves, crystal clear water and a majestic sea view. So thank you, France, for coming up with your coastal law, the Loi Littorale, in 1985. One of its goals is to make the coastline available to the public. And for the French Riviera, it's mission accomplished. There are several beautiful stretches of wild landscape along the otherwise built-up coastline. You can't go wrong if you choose one of the capes: Cap d'Antibes, Cap Ferrat, Cap d'Aille or Cap Martin.
And don't forget to check out the typical market.
Merci beaucoup. Bonne journée. Au revoir.
Friday is market day in Valbonne, not far from Cannes or Antibes. There are lots of fresh markets worth a visit on the French Riviera, but Valbonne is one of the most famous, most visited, and obviously most beautiful Provençal markets down here. Every Friday morning, things get wild at Place des Arcades and the many small alleys of the cute medieval town of Valbonne. You'll find a multitude of different things to buy, to smell and to taste, mixed and mingled without any particular order. You should also plan to take a coffee or get lunch at the main square, surrounded by colorful houses, for a unique Valbonne experience. And here's a selection of other markets to discover.
Take your time to stroll along one of the promenades.
This is southern French lifestyle at its best, a stroll along one of the unique boardwalks. The most famous ones are the Promenade des Anglais in Nice, named after the English aristocrats that started discovering the French Riviera as a winter holiday destination at the end of the 18th century, and the Croisette in Cannes. They are nothing alike apart from their blue chairs, but both are always busy with people of all nationalities enjoying a walk with a view. Nice's Promenade des Anglais is wide and really long and used by many doing sports. Cannes' Croisette is way shorter, lined by palm trees and pines, and one restaurant down at the beach next to the other. So see for yourself which one you like better.
And here we are now on the island of Sainte Marguerite.
Yeah, we saved one of the best for last. Off of the coast of Cannes, there are two small islands, Île Sainte Marguerite and Ile Saint-Honorat. Catch a boat at the far end of the old harbor, and 20 minutes later, you're in a different world, away from the hustle and bustle of the coast, surrounded by nature and quiet, and lots of bathing spots. Anja prefers the bigger one, Sainte Marguerite. There's more to do and to discover, like the royal fortress on a cliff overlooking the sea, which houses a former state prison where the man with the iron mask was held captive, as well as underwater sculptures meant to explore snorkeling. I fell in love with a smaller one a long time ago, maybe because I got to know one of the monks that live on the island during an interview. If you liked our video, why don't you subscribe to our channel, and you'll get to see many more stories from the French Riviera.